Thank you all for coming. For those of you who are here for the first time, I'd like to begin this by explaining that this is a Dharma assembly. And Dharma is the traditional Indian Buddhist term that refers to the Buddha's teachings and practices that lead us to spiritual enlightenment. So a Dharma assembly then is a gathering of people who have come together to learn these teachings and practices, but not only learn them, apply them together here. So this differs slightly from from a conventional lecture. It's not only a place to learn, but a kind of formal workshop for us to practice and enhance our understanding and ability at spiritual practice. So in the course, traditionally, we'll be conducting this Dharma, although this Dharma assembly is in English, we follow the format established within traditional Korean Buddhism. And within that tradition, it's customary, especially within Zen or Sun Buddhism, for the members, for the people who have gathered to actually practice meditation during the full course of the assembly, from beginning to end. And this reinvigorates us both spiritually and mentally, even physically, and returns us to our spiritual home ground, as well as creating for us a new beginning in our spiritual practice. So today, the Dharma, or teaching and practice toward enlightenment that I will be talking about, is that of traditional Korean Sun or Zen Buddhist meditation. Now, the first step before meditation is actually undertaken, the very first step that we need to take as practitioners is we need to make an affirmation to ourselves. We need to accept an article of faith. Now, this faith doesn't mean believing in an external leader such as the Buddha or any other religious teacher out there, or even believing in a specific religion. What this article of faith or affirmation entails is the belief and idea that each of us is Buddha. We have to be able to say as we enter practice, I am Buddha. We don't need to worry about whether I believe this overall, but for now, as long as we've come here to this Dharma assembly, as long as we've come here to learn something new, this is the first step that needs to be taken. And for the duration of this practice, we can try it out for ourselves. We can say within ourselves and to ourselves, in fact, I am Buddha. Now, what does that actually mean? What that means on a conventional level is that I am not just this physical body. I am not just this personality. I am not just the sum of events of my life that have led me to this moment. And I'm not just the combination of social roles that I may play in my daily life. All of those things that until this time I thought was me are actually manifestations of a deeper, more fundamental, more original self. And within not only Buddhism, but many Asian traditions, this original self, this true me, or to put it in the formal term, this Buddha nature, is not only the source of my own existence, but the source of all creation. And I need to believe that this can be possible. And once I try on that belief, make that affirmation, then I can enter into Zen meditation, because Zen meditation is designed to return us to that place. When I talk about the source of all things, the true self, I'm not talking about something grand and metaphysical. It's actually very ordinary, very near to us, and very simple. When we ask, what is that Buddha nature? It actually means when a thought occurs in my head, it's the thing that's generating the thought. When I experience an emotion, it's the thing that feels the feeling. When I get angry, it's the thing in me that's getting angry. When I get sad, it's the thing in me that's feeling sadness. It is, in fact, me, the me inside of me. And yet somehow, in the course of living, I have no idea what that thing is. I know kind of what my body is like, kind of what my personality is like, kind of what I'm doing in my life, but the real me, that eludes me. And for that, and because it eludes me, because I don't know what I really am, I don't know really why I'm here in this world, living this life, and I don't know what's going to happen to me. And I don't know exactly how I should proceed. So not knowing what we really are does present concrete problems in our living. And therefore solving this problem of me, of the real me, will concretely enhance our way of living. Zen meditation is the method that we use to get back to this so-called Buddha nature, the real me. So as I explain, as I briefly review the procedure for Zen meditation, I would like us to go through the steps and enter into meditation together, armed again with the affirmation that I am Buddha, that I have Buddha nature within me. So the first step is posture. So what you want to do, and I'll ask you to do this now, although I think most of you are sitting this way, what you do is, I'm wearing a very big robe here, but what you do is you tuck one leg, I don't know if you can see, in, and then you raise the other leg on top. Like that. So it's a little bit different than the Western style of sitting cross-legged. Okay. For those of, now I was born and raised in the United States, so this was very uncomfortable for me too, but over time, your body will relax and adjust. So you want your back straight, your shoulders square. You want to tuck in your chin slightly. And what this does is it will raise the crown of your head toward the ceiling and straighten your spine from the crown of the head to your tailbone. So you want a straight line, a nice straight line going down the back. Now, I'm going to put down this microphone for a moment. Take your right hand, take the edge of your right hand, tuck it in against your abdomen, and rest it on top of the ankle. Take your left hand, place it on top of the right hand. And then let the tips of your thumbs meet to create a nice rainbow arc. You want to take the tip of your tongue and gently place it against the roof of your mouth just behind the upper row of teeth. Don't put any pressure, just let it rest up there. You want to keep your eyes open as in ordinary waking hours. Now because you have your chin tucked in slightly, you'll be looking down slightly, and if you look straight ahead, your gaze will naturally fall on the floor about 10 feet or 3 meters in front of you. You do not want to gaze at a single point. What you want to do is look forward with a kind of soft gaze. There should be no tension in your eyes. It will be almost as if you're not focusing on anything in particular. You're just letting the scene in front of you present itself to you. Now this is what's the so-called standard posture of Zen meditation. And what's meant by standard posture is that this is considered the most effective and efficient physical posture for maintaining long-term concentration and therefore long-time meditation. So this is the first step. The second step is breathing. And for many of us, breathing is kind of the linchpin between the body and the mind. What I mean by that is it's the key. By regulating our breath, we can regulate both physical and mental processes. We can calm them down, stabilize them, clarify them. Okay? So right now, before we go into any specialized breathing, what I would like you to do is just to relax. Put your attention on your breathing. Whatever you were thinking about before you came here, whatever happened today, yesterday, whatever brought you to Korea or to this gathering, just put it all down. Fully occupy your body. Fully occupy this moment. Don't worry about what's going to happen after this Dharma assembly, or tonight, or tomorrow. I know it's Saturday, but for now, just put everything down, relax, and just be here. And just focus on your breathing. Don't worry about doing anything special with your breathing yet. Just bring your attention into your own body. And you'll notice that your body is, in fact, a living thing. It's full of motion, vibration, waves, rumblings. It vibrates, it hums. So right now, we're already beginning to learn a little bit more about ourselves. And already our consciousness is beginning to clarify, stabilize, and unify. We're really coming down to the here and now. So just relax, calm down. The posture can be a little bit uncomfortable. Just let the discomfort flow through you. You may have thoughts rising, perhaps in response to what I'm saying. You may have a voice in your head talking to you. That's okay. You may have imagery, memories, thoughts, whatever. That's all okay. Just let it flow by. Just keep letting yourself become more calm and more relaxed. And now from this point of relaxation, we'll enter into preparation breathing. In preparation breathing, you inhale fully through your nose and fill your chest to full capacity. And then hold, and then exhale fully through the mouth, completely emptying your lungs. So we can do that together now. Inhale through the nose, hold, and then exhale through the mouth. Again, inhale through the nose, pause, exhale through the mouth. One more time, inhale through the nose, pause, exhale through the mouth. Now we'll enter into the form of breathing that we use in meditation called belly breathing. From now on, we do all our breathing through our nose. Just breathe in through your nose, and as you breathe in, a normal volume of air, as you breathe in, push out your lower belly just slightly, just a little bit, so it inflates slightly, as if the air is filling your lower belly. And then pause, and after pausing, exhale through your nose and draw in your lower belly, as if you draw in your belly button toward the spine. Again, just slightly. The motion doesn't have to be dramatic. The motion doesn't have to be large, but what you want is to adjust to it so that it becomes even and natural and rhythmic. So again, inhale, pause, then exhale. Now move forward on your own rhythm. The recommended ratio of inhaling, pausing, and exhaling is 3 seconds on the inhale, 3 seconds on the pause, 3 to 4 seconds for a slightly longer exhalation. This can be too long for some of us. If it feels too long, if it's strenuous, just shorten a little bit. Say 2 seconds, 2 seconds, 3 seconds. Adjust it to your comfort so that this belly breathing feels as natural as possible. Now, in the course of this talk, try as much as you can to maintain this belly breathing. At moments, it may feel uncomfortable. At moments, you may lose the rhythm. If that happens, just return to normal breathing, relax a little bit, and then re-engage belly breathing. The third component of Zen meditation is thought. And the thought entailed in Korean Zen meditation or Sun meditation is the hwadu, a question that you ask yourself. And the question that we'll be asking ourselves is as follows. This, the thing right here, sitting right here, doing all this, experience all this. This, what is this? That's how we're going to say it. Those of you who came to my earlier talks will see that I've adjusted it slightly actually at the recommendation of my teacher. So the procedure is like this. You inhale, pause, and as you exhale, in coordination with your exhalation, in your mind you say this. What is this? Inhale, pause, and as you exhale, this. What is this? We can try this out loud. All together. Inhale, pause, and as we exhale out loud, this. What is this? Again, inhale, pause, exhale, this. What is this? Now adjust the timing and the intonation of the question so that it feels real to you, that it feels sincere, authentic, and urgent. The question is designed to raise what's called a state of doubt. Now this doubt is not philosophical inquiry. It's not asking yourself, well, is there really enlightenment? Do I buy into all this? Was the Buddha right? It's not asking on a theoretical question, on a theoretical level. What you're trying to do is create a state of questioning. And it's similar to losing a set of keys. You're the one who put them somewhere, but now you can't remember. I know that I know where it is, but I can't remember. So, where are the keys? Where are the keys? There's a certain urgency to that. In the same manner, this is ourselves we're talking about. It's me I've misplaced. So this, me, what am I? This question has a natural urgency for all of us. And to draw up that urgency, to put aside the mental chatter and all the things that divide and consume our attention, reveals this natural question that sits at the very root of our existence. This question is already there. We just have to take the time to notice it. When you do this, when you ask this, what is this? What you are doing is you are taking your attention and you are directing it back to its own source. It's like an eye trying to see itself. It tries to see itself, but it cannot. We try to know ourselves, but we cannot. This contradiction that we're faced in, this feeling of being blocked, that is the feeling of doubt. When you raise that situation, you are raising doubt. That is exactly what you want to be doing in meditation. You don't want to resolve this doubt, you want to enhance it and intensify it. So for the course of this talk, I invite you to try to keep working with it as you listen. And you'll find this helpful. First, because it gives you practice in Zen meditation. Second, because by sitting like this, breathing like this, and clarifying our consciousness in this way, you will hear me much more closely and much more accurately, and therefore you will be in a much better position to decide for yourself whether you believe in this and whether you want to apply it in your own personal lives, and then to what extent. Now, what I would like to do today, as we meditate, is discuss, this is the standard posture, but the actual practice of Zen, Korean Sun, is to engage it in our direct living. The last time I was here, I suggested that that's like learning how to drive. At the beginning, when you learn how to drive, it's hard to coordinate the accelerator, the brake, the steering wheel, the turn lights, the various mirrors. And so we can't do anything but drive. We can't listen to the radio. We can't hold a conversation. But later, as driving becomes instinctual, we can coordinate it with other activities. And in the same way, this meditation can be coordinated into our daily lives. Okay, before I proceed, I know that this posture is uncomfortable for you, and the way you're packed in together, it's hard to stretch out your legs. So I'd like to suggest that if your legs are really uncomfortable, just stand up for a little while. Just stand up in place. It's okay. Let your circulation come back, and then you can sit down again. Okay? So it can be, through some effort and practice, it can be coordinated into our daily activity. Now, what I would like to discuss today, because it's such an issue in contemporary life, I would like to discuss how Zen meditation can help us in our human relationships. Now, when human relationships are looked at from a spiritual or religious point of view, from a spiritual or religious point of view, human relationships immediately involve the issue of love. Every major religious tradition in the world tells us that the correct and truest way to treat one another is with love. The Hindu tradition, for example, teaches us a concept of ahimsa, which means non-violence. That even if someone is violent toward you, you have to love them, you cannot hurt them back. The Christian tradition tells us to love thy neighbor. And I believe when they say neighbor, they mean every human being living on the planet. The Buddhist tradition tells us that we have to treat with love and compassion all living beings, both human and non-human. So many of us who are drawn to spiritual practice begin, especially when we're young, with questions, with very innocent, childlike and perhaps childish questions like, can I live without hurting anyone and also not getting hurt? And then moving a step forward, can we live in a way that we can bring joy to each other? To put it simply, can we live together happily? Can't we just be happy together? And what these religious traditions say in response to these spiritually minded questions is yes, and the answer is love. But the edict of love that they give, to love everyone and everything and never hurt anybody, that seems to us initially, that can seem to us unrealistic. We may think, isn't that an impossible ideal? And what I would like to say to you today is that through Zen Buddhist meditation, we may actually be able to achieve this fantastically high and abstract ideal. Now, before getting to how Zen meditation goes about that, I would like first to discuss two of the most, I think, widespread notions of love that exist in contemporary society today. And the first idea is that love is this emotion. Love is an emotional gift that we give or not give. And if that's what love is, that means that love is something we do. And if love is something that we do, it is an exertion that requires time, energy, and sometimes our own personal resources. And if that is the case, because our time, energy, and resources are limited, then it becomes functionally impossible to love every single person that you will encounter, let alone the 7 billion other people in the world. And if that's the case, practically speaking, even though this is not even our attention, this just seems like reality forcing us to make choices, what happens then is we have to select who we'll love. And some will get it and some will don't. And when we think about that in a practical way, let's just think of, in a big city like Seoul, how many people you encounter, pass by, or lay eyes upon in a single day if you go outside. It may be tens, maybe hundreds. Out of so many people, do we really have the time to build a loving relationship with every single one of them? Probably mathematically the answer has to be no. So what we do is we have to start making decisions. And over the course of a lifetime, out of all the people that we will pass by, meet, or see, we'll select a very, very small few. Family, friends, lovers and or spouses, colleagues. And the rest, there'll be some that we don't like and therefore cannot love. And then the rest will sort of helplessly regard with a kind of benign indifference. the vast majority of the people we meet will remain strangers to us. These are the practical consequences of looking at love as something that we do and something that we give in our limited time and space. And so I will suggest to you and argue to you that this idea of love as an emotion and love as an emotional gift is, from a spiritual point of view, an impoverished view of love. I will say that it underestimates and undermines our innate capacity to love. Now the second very popular notion of love is that it's something that just kind of happens mysteriously. Maybe it's a chemical interaction between people. Somehow the chemistry was right and we got along. Or it could be some confluence of circumstances and conditions. I was in the right time, in the right place, in the right frame of mind, and something happened. Or we may even argue that it's fate, that it's destiny, that it was written. A plan or a planner had it in mind that that so and so would meet and these things would happen. Now, what's common to all these points of view is that love is something that's outside of our comprehension and therefore outside of our control. I can't control the chemical reactions of my body or my mind with someone else, let alone the circumstances, my external circumstances, let alone the plan of the universe. So this idea then is that love is this mysterious event, and from that we have this strangely helpless way of expressing this way of love. I fall in love. I fell in love. As if you suddenly dropped down an open manhole that you somehow failed to notice. It's like, oh my God, I'm falling in love. Ouch. And this view of love, I think it's funny, and it has its own appeal. This view of love is very romanticized in current society, in our popular culture and in the media. But if you are someone who does not have love in your life, whatever kind of love you're looking for, then you've got a problem, because love is incredibly important to every single human being. And you take something that important and you say that you have no real control over it. That having no control over something important to you puts most people into a state of anxiety. And in this state of anxiety, we ask those very familiar questions. Will I ever fall in love? Will I ever meet someone that I can connect with? So even though this view of love is called romantic, it can be highly anxiety-producing. And therefore, I will argue that this view of love is actually disempowering. It takes away any feeling of control that you might have over this. So then what's the Zen alternative? Now, in order to understand the Zen alternative, we have to return to the affirmation that began our practice today. The affirmation that I am Buddha. I am the thing that thinks my thoughts. I am the thing that feels my feelings. I am not my body, not my roles, not my personality, not my memories. I am the source of all those things, and somehow I am the source of all created things, according to the Buddha. And going a step further, somehow within this mysterious me, there are hidden capabilities and powers and talents and functions that I am not aware of because I have never learned how to tap into it. In all schools of Buddhism, they say that the Buddha nature is indefinable and inexpressible through language, thought, or conception. The unenlightened mind cannot comprehend it. It must be enlightened to. So that may seem like an impasse, but fortunately, the great masters of the past, in their compassion, have provided us with partial metaphorical descriptions. And these images really act as signposts for us in our progress, in the progress of our spiritual practice. In Zen Buddhism, by far the most predominant image or metaphorical description of this mysterious Buddha nature, of the real me, is the idea of Buddha nature as a light source, a lantern, the full moon, or maybe the sun. And we are instructed to view this image, the lantern, the sun, the moon, in terms of of what they are, their basic nature, which in formal terminology is their essence, and their function, what they do. So we're going to try to understand what a lantern does, what a moon does, what a sun does, in terms of what it is and how it operates. So what is the basic nature of a lantern or any source of light? And that is brightness. That is what it is. That is the defining quality of light, brightness. And what does it do? It shines. And it shines on everything that happens to be near it. In the same manner, what is the essence of Buddha nature? And the answer within the tradition, within the Zen tradition, is the essence. What Buddha nature is wisdom. Now, this is not conventional wisdom. This is not personal knowledge and experience accumulated in the course of living. This is spiritual wisdom. And by spiritual wisdom, it means seeing and knowing. Being able to see yourself and know yourself. Being able to see the world and know the world in a way that preserves the original unity between ourselves and the world, between ourselves and each other. That sounds complicated, I know. But the formal term is non-dual awareness or non-dual luminosity. But in essence, we see things as they are directly, without the mediation of language or concepts. It's direct, it's immediate, it's intimate, and it's accurate. So if that's the essence, if that's what Buddha nature is, that we are this clear, unobstructed, non-dual, luminous awareness, then what does it do? What is its function? And the wonderful thing that the great Buddhist masters tell us is that the essence of this enlightened spiritual, the function of this enlightened spiritual wisdom is compassion. Unconditional compassion, what in this day and age we call unconditional love. It shines from enlightened wisdom as rays of light shine from a lantern, the sun, the moon. So, then from this Zen Buddhist perspective, love is not something we do or choose not to do. It's not something that happens to us or fails to happen to us. It's something that we are. And that's the radical reinterpretation of love that Zen Buddhism offers us. Okay then. So in my essence, I'm enlightened wisdom, and in my way of living and being, I'm supposedly unconditional compassion. Well then, why in our daily living do we hardly experience any of this? Why is it that I don't really feel that much love for that many people, and I'm frankly confused most of the time? So the reason for that, and it's obvious, is because we're unenlightened. So what's unenlightenment? We need to understand that too. If Buddha nature is this sun that combines the essence of wisdom with the function of compassion, then unenlightenment is like a darkness that covers it. It's like a veil that covers the lantern and a cloud that covers the sun and the moon. And it obscures the light. And so we feel that, and so we're fallen into darkness and we don't know. We may not even know the light is there. So what is this cloud, this veil made of? And the traditional answer is karma. The karma that we've accumulated over endless past lifetimes. That answer that may not be terribly resonant for a modern mind. So we can simplify it and just say it's our personal issues. It's all the random, distracting thoughts in our head, the voices, the endless unreflected, unconscious opinions, assumptions, biases, memories, prejudices. It's all of our emotional stuff too. The things we're attracted to, the things we're repulsed by, what we're obsessed with, our emotional hot spots, our emotional tender spots, our wounds, and our disappointments, and the list is endless. This enormous confluence of mental stuff, debris, acts to bind, restrict, and conceal the natural light of ourselves. This is the Buddhist explanation. What then Zen meditation does, what Zen meditation is a highly specific method for cutting through the veil and for dispersing the cloud. And when you do that, you begin to release the light inside. And with that light comes wisdom and love. So how does this work practically speaking? Let's say I'm in some kind of social encounter and it's not going well. You know, maybe they're upset at me, or maybe they're getting me upset at them. And I'm spiritually minded, so I feel like I should respond with love. But it's not happening, and I find it hard to do. From a Zen perspective, don't try to do anything. Love is already our inherent nature. We just need to find a way to release it. So, literally, begin meditating. Align your body so that you're symmetrical, solidly rooted. You know, you'll probably be standing. I doubt you'll be sitting like this. But you'll probably be standing, but just straighten up, balance yourself. Engage the breathing. Do it subtly. Don't, freak out the other person, right? And just do that. Now, if nothing else, first of all, with the image of the cloud on the moon, what that tells us is that this person in front of me is not the problem. My problem is the cloud. What he's saying or doing is secondary. The responses, the emotional, mental, and physical responses that he or she is creating in me, that comes first. My body and my mind are going into a state of high alert. It's like a house on fire. I should put out the fire first and then worry about what's going on with this other person. And it's the only way I can go about it, because when my mind and my body are in a state of disarray and distress, I'm in a very bad position to handle some difficult situation. So for both of us, that person and me, it's better if I center myself, stabilize myself, clarify myself, calm down. And this is a structured method for doing that. And if you can do that by training yourself, if you can do that, that becomes the first gift of love. You have brought peace into the situation. In a situation of escalating tension, you have brought peace. No one likes to be with someone who's really distressed or really angry or really afraid. You have removed that, your part of that, from the equation. You have already given them something. That alone, practically speaking, is a very effective way of getting through this. So that's just a scratch on the surface, though. And what I would like to talk about now is the effects of long-term meditation, because I have lived in a monastery for 20 years, and I have known both lay people and senims who have meditated for a very long time. And what happens over long-term meditation is that we begin to change, perhaps even physiologically. The way my teacher, Songdam-s님, puts it, he said that the eyes of a meditator become like a lake, clear and open, vivid. And their faces open up. The face of a meditator isn't so tense and creased with worry, anxiety, and simmering resentment. Their skin is clean. They're not, because their faces aren't clenched. And it's nice to be with a meditator, because they're not asking anything of you, and they don't engage you in an adversarial way. They're bringing peace and calmness into the situation. And they give you their attention freely, without any demands. You're not expected to be something or do something in that moment. So, along with the gift of peace, there's calmness, there's freedom, and these kind of things are infections. You get together with a very calm person, you begin to calm down yourself. This is love. This is the action of love at an unenlightened level, at the level of people like us who are just learning how to practice and trying to get it going. And then we can talk about more advanced practitioners, and they give off a kind of light. That's the only word for it. And this is depicted in the art of all religious traditions. I think all religious traditions illustrate their advanced spiritual practitioners, like the saints, the sages, the mystics, with a halo or an aura. This is based upon their personal experience in encountering such people. And when you're with someone like that, you feel embraced. And it's calm. The person, before words have been exchanged, before a relationship has been mapped out, already there's love coming from a person like that. Another way within Buddhism that effect is described is of a fragrance that an advanced practitioner gives off. It's a fragrance that our physical noses cannot smell, but our hearts feel it. Their presence is somehow fragrant. And it is, and for anyone who has experienced it, it is sweeter and more alluring than any perfume or cologne. And you can never forget it. So these are forms of love that take no exertion and ask for no mysterious alignment of events. This is love shining forth from a human being. And then we can get to the level of a master. And I have seen, to name an example, a woman who came in who did not speak the same language as the master, and as soon as she laid eyes on him, she just started weeping. Somehow, it was okay. She was somehow touched, and her whatever sadness she was carrying, she was able to release. It's very typical. People meet a master and they start confessing their most painful secrets. They confess their deepest insecurities. One really common thing that happens is that they just start laughing like children. They become kind of giddy, almost a little drunk. And I know how that feels, because you go into the presence of a master, and the radiant love or compassion that you feel is as warm and gentle as sunlight. As unbelievable as this may sound, you feel in his or her presence that the sun is shining for you and only you. And that is the gift of love that comes out of high levels of spiritual practice. I think that the image of the veil and the cloud is also significant for many of us. I think that many of us have a shadow on their hearts or a darkness in their souls. And this darkness can take the form of a profound sense of social alienation. I don't feel connected to my fellow human beings. I don't know how to connect. For some reason, I don't have the skills, or I don't have the parts. But for whatever reason, I'm living alone and insularized. And from this can come great levels of loneliness, sorrow, fear, and over time, hopelessness. This is one form of loneliness that I think is quite prevalent in modern society. Another form of darkness that can put us in its shadow is anger. Some of us, in the course of living, feel like we've been mistreated once too often. The world owes us something now. And we're always angry. We're in a slow boil, and anything can trigger us. A person in the grip of anger looks at the world and sees something that he or she cannot trust. You have to be on your guard. You have to hit first before getting hit. and you have to take what you need because it won't be given to you. The world is inherently unfair, and I'm not going to put up with it anymore. And that kind of simmering anger, if it explodes into rage, and if it continues unchecked, then this person has created a hellish situation for him or herself, and also that person is a very negative influence on anyone who comes into contact with them. And that's another form of darkness that I think we see quite a bit around us, not only in Korea, but in any part of the modern world, if not the entire planet. And then the third, I'm sort of going through what seemed to me the big three. The third, I think, is that some of us, or many of us, are consumed with a deep sense of personal shame. And what the shame is the idea that somehow I'm not enough. I'm not smart enough. I'm not good looking enough. I'm not accomplished enough. I'm not talented enough. I'm not rich enough. I'm not lucky enough. I'm not nice enough. Something's wrong with me. Or going in the opposite direction, there's an ugliness or a perversion within me that other people don't seem to have, and I'm this kind of thing that has to be hidden. One way or the other, this shame, this fundamental embarrassment about ourselves leads us to live a life of secrecy. We will project a socially acceptable image of ourselves and hide our true self away from the world. And that's an incredibly painful way to live, but from what I hear, it's becoming more and more common. So there are many other forms of darkness, and I've chosen to touch upon what seem to me some pretty big ones in the modern world now. But if this darkness, if there's nothing to restrain it, and it proliferates, whatever form of darkness that you may be in the grip of, then what happens in the end is that you look within your own heart and you find nothing there, nobody home. You look at your life and it seems meaningless. You look at the world and the world may seem like this infinite void where molecules and people just collide with each other by chance and there's no meaning at all. And if you just keep going down this path, you will end up in a place of despair and hopelessness. What Zen meditation and these images of enlightenment that I've shared with you today give to us is the understanding that this massive darkness, this unending darkness, may only be just a veil or a cloud. And we may have the means to cut through it, and who knows what lies on the other side. And the claim that I would like to make today is that if we arm ourselves with the affirmation, I am Buddha, I have Buddha nature, wisdom and love are innate to me. And based on that faith, I begin to practice this meditation as consistently and persistently as I can. And it may be imperfect at the beginning, it may be awkward, it may be painful. But just to keep at it and keep at it, then we may create and witness an extraordinary miracle. We may look into the depths of that darkness and one day suddenly see light come shining forth. This is the possibility that Zen meditation affords for us. And this light can fill our hearts over time. It can heal us, it can nourish us, it can strengthen us, inspire us, empower us. And then it will fill our lives. And all of our daily actions, from the very big to the very trivial, will become transformed into, can become transformed into acts of love and wisdom. And continuing further along this path, this light can brim over onto all of those around us, so that we begin to soothe and comfort, heal and nurture, ultimately strengthen and inspire anyone who comes into contact with us. And if that happens, then in some small way, haven't we become Buddhas in this world without joining a church or a temple, without cutting off our hair or changing our jobs, right where we are, just by practicing right where we are? Couldn't we become Buddhas in the world? This is the, I guess this is the main point that I'm coming to. And what I would like to do now is try a little meditation again with our enhanced understanding of what it means to say to ourselves, I am Buddha. That wisdom and compassion is something that we already are. We just need to tap into it. So what I would like to do is, if you need to stand up for a moment, stretch out your legs, would you like to? Go ahead, stand up. I'm going to remain seated. Kick out your legs a little bit, shake your feet. Okay, then the posture once more, lightly if possible. I know that some of you may be sore. I'm thinking, how's 5 minutes of meditation? I believe we're on a schedule. So even though you may be a little sore, try to reassume the seated posture. Now, I noticed that some of you are sitting like this, and this is also meditation posture in other traditions, but the hand position is actually important. And depending on the goals and purpose of the meditation, there'll be slight variations. So for today, just try. When you put your hands on your knees, it actually does ease the pressure on your back and can feel more comfortable. But just try for 5 minutes like this, and you may feel something a little bit different. Okay, and straighten your back, tuck in your chins, place the tip of your tongue against the roof of your mouth gently, and now engage the belly breathing, all through the nose, gently, calmly, and naturally. When the breathing stabilizes, the phrase is raise the hwadu. Engage this. What is this? Breathe in, pause, and as you exhale, this. What is this? Do it very calmly, but with great sincerity. Now I will hit the chukpi 3 times, and we will go for 5 minutes of meditation. Thank you very much. I would recommend to you in closing that not only with me, but in any Dharma assembly that you attend, that you, as much as possible, meditate through it. In meditating, you create a very solemn and inviting atmosphere for any speaker to be in. So that's a gift that you immediately give to the speaker. And for yourselves, because you're in meditation, you're literally meditating upon what's being said in a very fine-grained way, which will benefit you, which will give you the maximum benefit from any kind of Dharma speech that's made in places like this. So it's, and as I mentioned at the very beginning, it's actually considered by etiquette the appropriate thing to do within Korean Sun Buddhism. So in closing, I will thank you once again for listening so closely. You've really been a wonderful audience, and it's always a pleasure to come here. So thank you very much, and may we all attain enlightenment. 성불하십시오.